Hello, I'm Regina Botras, and this is Backstage, where we talk with the who's who on stage, in dance, comedy, and performing arts, speaking with the leading theatre makers of our times and how they came to the stage and what drives them and inspires them. Well, I'm joined by Sheridan Harbridge, award-winning writer, actor, adapter, and she's here to talk about My Brilliant Career on at Sydney Theatre Company at the moment, and it is brilliant. I just loved it. She co-wrote the acclaimed adaptation for Melbourne Theatre Company, which won 5 Green Room Awards, including Best New Writing. She's been and is coming back to Prima Facie later in June this year at the Rosalind Packer Theatre, playing Tessa. If you haven't seen it, you get another chance, which is so exciting. She earned Best Actress at Sydney Theatre Awards, winning again in 2024 for Blanche Dubois in A Streetcar Named Desire for Redline Productions. Her stage credits include Stock Girl, Calamity Jane, Jump for Jordan. Look, so many. She wrote and directed The Sellout, A Model Murder for Sydney Festival, and she created and performed Amplified, The Rock and Rage of Chrissy Amphlett for Rising in 2025. It's also coming back soon, like next week from the 15th of April, back because I didn't get a chance to see it the first time around, which was for Belvoir. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get in this time. Look, she's got so much to talk about. Welcome to Stage, Sheridan.
Oh my God, that just sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting. How does she do it?
Oh, not all the collagen is draining from my face as we speak. A lot of project. I'm very lucky. I've been very lucky. I've just had all these amazing projects that I've gotten to, have a hand at. I'm a lucky girl.
Oh, so good. And right, and we didn't even get through that whole, starting with your first work, like as a writer and performer.
Songs for the Fallen.
Songs for the
Yes.
Fallen, which I remember seeing way back. Wow. Well, so let's start with My Brilliant Career. As I said, I just loved it. But I have to say, I don't read reviews before I go, just to kind of, and I was like, how are they going to do this? Are you kidding? Like Australian Outback as a musical? What? This is going to be terrible. It wasn't. It is absolutely brilliant. Where do you start when you come to adapt such a classic Australian work, a period work?
Well, that one in particular, because it's such a known work and a beloved work, by so many generations. I remember saying at a family barbecue to an aunt, and she's like, oh, in the 70s she studied it. She's like, I was Sibylla, and I could see, like, I can't mess it up for this woman. It meant so much to her. But then I was going, well, and also then I want it to work now, and I want 15-year-old girls now to see themselves as Sibylla. So I was really, the first thing I knew I needed to tackle was how to make it fresh and contemporary now. And I was really looking at, I think, Gillian Armstrong's film in the 70s. That Sibylla in that movie was the woman women needed to see in that decade, which is a fierce, uncompromising, very Amazonian warrior woman. And I thought, now our feminism's changed. We're in third, fourth wave. Who even knows? I couldn't actually pin that down. And now what we want to see from women now, what we want our role models to be, is really different. And I think we're embracing contradictory, complex rat bags and going, yeah, now we get to be imperfect. Now we get to be flawed. Now we get to stand up and go, I actually don't know what the answer is, and I'm going to find out and not have to have all the answers. So it was really great to go, okay, rat bag, precocious Sibylla, finding her way, learning her wisdom is the Sibylla of today.
And she is, well, I don't know if Rat Bag was the first. She's just so raucous,
Yes.
bombastic, like such a, empowering. And it is, I hate that word empowering. I think we overuse it in maybe the wrong ways, but it does, you do walk away feeling like, yes, that's right. I mean, times change, but they don't change that quickly. Like you say, we're still kind of trying to be strong and fight against the patriarchy, etc.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you put that into song?
Well, I didn't write the songs.
Well, no, no,
Yes,
but
but
to the book, I
yeah,
suppose. But
yeah.
yes.
But it was a great challenge because the songs, when I joined the project, the songs had already been written by
Mm,
Dean Bryant and Maddie Frank.
right. Yeah.
And so I was sort of tasked with helping make this production almost launch up to these songs. And of course, with musicals, you've got to get the scene to the point where a song has to start screaming out of their mouth. Text can no longer do the job. The song's got to launch. And that was really great in helping, like getting her in a monologue to just start, because she's got such an incredible inner monologue in the book. And it was such a joy putting that
Mm,
on stage. Like it opens with my dear fellow Australians. A few quick
yes.
words to tell you the story is going to be all about me. It's perfect. It's amazing. And so to get that inner monologue on the outside, like screaming into a theater, is kind of, I think, how loud and rambunctious that novel should be. Because it's this woman going, why are we living like this? This is upside down. And that being expressed through song kind of was perfect. Um, I was the same as you going, oh, how are you going to adapt this into a musical? But really getting into the nuts and bolts, going, a musical for Sibylla who wanted a life in art and expression actually ended up being the perfect way to get her feelings sort of in the air on the outside.
It does absolutely feel so right. I mean, and the piano comes through, and she was obviously a piano player, but that's just the sort of the beginning of the musical and this sort of inner world that kind of supports her. I think
Mm.
in the story of Sibylla or of Miles, and yeah, this is so gutsy. So what you it came? So the songs were written, and then
Yeah.
what was your
Matt
process?
and Dean had done a production already for Monash Uni,
Mm.
and they had done that version. They really liked sort of the bones of it. And then we're like, we better get a chick to help us with this.
Yeah,
Very
go.
wise, very wise. And so literally I had a coffee with Dean and he went, we just thought we needed someone to bring in a precocious, chaotic 15-year-old voice. And they thought of me. So I was like, how dare you? How dare you? But I
Mm.
was perfect. Um, and then he gave me everything that they'd done. I read the novel again and went, okay. And really just sort of went to it with Dean of sort of bringing in the kind of joy. I think we found a lot of joy in it in this edition, which is great. I think people remember the movie as being angry and fierce, and that's a good thing. Um, but to bring a musical version and introduce it to another generation, to put a lot of optimism into it, I think is now, I think what people are coming to theatre for in this moment is sort of a bit of sunlight on these trying times.
Indeed. And so how much I mean, obviously taking the book as the basis, how much of that, I mean, there's the obvious ending but how much of it did you use and how did you work with it?
Oh yeah. The book is really funny, but in 1899 funny. So it was a really great game of sort of finding what were
Mm,
really naughty things to say back then that now you don't even realize you're reading something
mm,
pretty edgy.
mm.
And it was actually translating what was edgy in the book, um, and putting that into what is edgy now. And also then distilling all like she's so angry that everyone's living the way they are and not questioning these things and trying to distill whole chapters of her just going why in that great teen frustration,
Yeah.
um and then letting that even mature throughout the arc of the show, letting
Mm.
it go from a 15-year-old going like, oh, I hate you, mom,
Yes.
to this woman of compassion and empathy at the end who realizes to get what she wants, she needs to put her head down and sort of sow the seeds. Just like any writer sitting down to write a book, it's that you've just got to put the seeds in the earth. and don't look up, getting her to that place of wisdom. So it was really like, and also finding what I found great joy in is finding the set pieces that I knew would be theatrically gorgeous, like the boat scene, the ball scene, even I don't know if you remember at that start of Act Two with the birthday bumps where they're throwing people up in a rug in the air, which isn't from the book, but it was a scene, it was her birthday, and I was like, they surely didn't have the ritual of cake yet. And I was sort of researching when did cakes and candles come into birthdays? And it was actually a little bit later. It's a bit muddy when it sort of appeared. But then while I was doing that, I found a picture of this birthday bump throwing people in the air on a rug for every year they were born. I went, oh my goodness, that is perfect
Perfect.
theatre. It was a nightmare to stage. So it took so much infrastructure of making it safe.
Ah.
And, people trying to lift, 60-kilogram actors, flinging them into the air. But it was finding the set pieces. So all that literary world, all that talk, all of the kind of political passion she has could still exist with action and
Mm.
invention and excitement.
When was the birthday cake invented? So it was just a couple of years later.
Yeah, it was something that was happening in Europe, but the jury was out on whether it had come to Australia yet.
Ah.
And so I was like, oh, piecing it and going, okay, cakes, happy birthday wasn't sung yet, but the birthday bumps, I was like, great, better, better. And we
Perfect.
should still do it.
Absolutely. I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, come on. It's time.
Yeah, yeah.
50
Get
something.
the rug out,
Um,
throw Nana up in the air.
I was going to bring up your mother or the mother, sorry, Sibylla's mother, because there is that shift for her. She just really is fighting, and angry with her. And then there is that realization of, or acceptance, maybe. Is it? What would you say?
Yeah, I think in the book it does begin towards the end where she starts to ask questions about this mother she's railed against the whole time, and the mother it does have this very narrow existence of survival in a drought. She just needs to keep her family alive, and of course at the start as a 15-year-old she just sees that as kind of her mother giving in, and it is a failure of her mother to be so narrow. But by the end, of course, as she's growing up and really actually comprehending what it is to survive under this patriarchy of going, my mum is an extraordinary, resilient survivor. She's done her best. We are alive. We are loved. I wonder what is in her that wanted what I wanted. And in the book, she sort of does as much as ask that question, but the relationship with the mum stays sort of antagonistic. But we decided to bring in more of Miles Franklin's real mother into that and just take it further because it's in her. Miles Franklin did a sequel called My Career Goes Bung,
Yes.
much less successful, but we were drawing from that where
Mm.
she really opens up and makes that relationship with her mother more complex. And her mum's even going, of course, I want to play the piano, but there's work that needs to be done.
Mm.
And then found in Jill Rowe's biography of Miles Franklin, there's this great image of little Stella sitting on the piano in her nightie while her mum plays all night. And then, of course, as the drought sets into the real family farm, that starts to disappear. So it felt really important that in a contemporary version we honor the relationship with the mother and what all our mums have done, and let the compassion that Stella had for her real mother, Susanna Franklin, come into the end of that book. I think Miles would have wanted that. It's something she's tried to, because people couldn't not see the book as memoir. It's what happens to so many female writers. They write anything emotional, they go, oh, that must have happened to you. You couldn't possibly have imagined this. And so her mother was pinned into being seen as the woman that she fictitiously wrote in the book. So it was really, yeah, it
Yeah.
was important to me that we fleshed that out.
It sounds like it's also, I mean, a book becomes contained in time and place and when it's published, etc. And then this is so many years later, like it's, over 100 years later. So it feels like it's growing
Mm,
in yeah, that kind of consideration of the development of the person beyond that time
Yeah.
is a really interesting way to address and kind of, I guess, to adapt. I mean, you can get really stuck in the,
Yeah.
time and period of something. So I love that this has that
Yeah.
evolution. What other choices? I mean, you mentioned the set pieces and the bumps, and I just love when she does return, there's this sort of absurdity throughout it. There's these sort of, the costuming is bigger, kind of absurd to what the period is, or as she comes back to these, kids that she's has to take care of, and they're this motley crew of like. So, what other sort of, I guess, choices did you
It's a
make?
really uh interesting game, I think, for anyone who adapts the story is how appealing or how perfect they make the romance between Sibylla and Harry Beecham. And that's actually a really delicate thing to play because in the book, he's not a perfect match. And Sibylla's quite aware of that. But she's still sort of trying to try him on, and in a way that anyone sort of 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 is understanding what they want in a partner or what is attractive and appealing to them or what they admire in someone. Um, but of course, in a musical, there's something that happens that as soon as a male actor starts singing beautifully, they kind of are perfect. And you can't take away this sort of gorgeousness. There was
Mm.
also a thread in there that I had a lot of questions about where Harry in the book has a temper. And you read that now, and that is unappealing. But actually, in the era, we're talking about Austen, Bronte, the leading romantic men always had this fiery temper, and it was of the time seen as an attractive thing for a man to have, that he had this fire and anger and resilience. But now you go, that man's got a temper, and it's like, whoa, whoa, red flag, red
Mm.
flag.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a interesting game of how to analyze that and how to move forward with it going, do you make this man have a temper, which is quite a different story, or do you see that as, oh, that was a feature of a romantic lead and put that to the romantic lead that we see now, which is ultimately what we did. And we, of course, had beautiful actor Raj Labade, who just is so dreamy that I would just go still when he walked in the room and just like float off into a lovely coma. Um, and also writing, almost kind of putting a contemporary, um, I was going to say a contemporary rom-com sensibility to their scenes, but it's not even that. It really harks back to kind of 50s screwball comedy. His Girl Friday was very much my inspiration of getting there. Frisson, a kind of literary, joyful play that they had, almost negging each other
Yeah.
in a way. Yeah, so how to set that romance was yeah, we went back and forth on that a lot.
That's interesting because if it had have him more aggressive or angry, it would have changed the kind of feminism
Yeah,
for us, right?
yeah. And I think if it was a play and you had more time, the music takes up such real estate, you could let the
Mm.
anger be there and let that be more three-dimensional. But I think in a musical where the book scenes are really taking up time with the songs, I knew we wouldn't have time to make that complex enough. And
Mm.
that their focus really needed to just be getting Sibylla to making the choice about um, wanting to be a writer. And ultimately we made the choice that making him an exquisite match, um, then the choice of her being a writer was a larger sacrifice. And it was really her going,
Mm.
I'll lose myself in you. I'll just have to play wife. Um, I could die in childbirth, which is something lightly alluded to in the book. And actually,
Mm-hmm.
in Miles Franklin's real life, her sister married the man that was lightly modeled on Harry. And a year later did die from complications from childbirth. So we sort of put that
Wow.
threat. It's not implicitly said in the book, but we put
Mm.
that idea in there to really understand, like, even if she loved him and he was going, here's a ticket, go overseas. You can still be my wife. And actually was
Mm-hmm.
more perfect in that way. If she got pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
there was a world where there's a 50% chance she's still not going to be a writer. So
Yeah.
it was patterning out what the actual sacrifice was, what the risk was. It took a long time. Yeah. And moving it in
Yeah.
centimeters this way and that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Was there ever the question of you playing Sibylla?
One time in the Melbourne season, Carla, our incredible actress, was sick and didn't have understudies because theatre, COVID, we're all poor. And I got a call going, "Do you think you could go on?" And I couldn't feel more old and unfit. And I can't sing like her. It would have been so embarrassing. And literally, I said to them, I'd choose Harry. I'd choose Harry. Don't be a writer, you idiot. This life is hard. I'm living the life she gets. And I'm exhausted. Marry him, you fool. Um, but I
Well,
very much
yeah.
was using my kind of past skills in cabaret where you really learn to
Mm,
work in comedy with no fourth wall and get that
mm-hmm.
rapport with the audience. I was really using that to put into Sibylla and Carla herself. She's a gig pig pub, you know, gigger. So she's got no
Amazing.
fourth wall. And that's actually, if people don't know that, that's actually a really hard won skill. And a lot of performers don't seem relaxed doing that. So we instantly had this actress who had this ease, and I could put a lot of my style of comedy onto her. And I didn't realize she was like mimicking me. So I was like writing for her and she was mimicking me. So we were making like this snake eating its own tail to make that character. But it was beautiful for us to both understand each other's sort of cadences. That really paid off.
Mm. So, and she's fantastic. I mean, wow, what a voice, what a performance. I mean, they're all so talented. The fourth wall. So, is that kind of like a bit of protection then? Like it kind of it allows you to perform without I mean, I know what the fourth wall is. I've never thought about it as the performer and that there might be a difficulty in breaking it.
Yeah, I think it has to come with this ease because it
Yeah.
means you're so in control
Mm.
of the room and this ease that the audience then is in the has to be in the palm of your hand, and it just has to feel so also spontaneous,
Mm.
and that's a very it's a hard one relationship,
Mm.
because some of your mask is dropping and it feels very much like you up there in front of this
Mm, mm,
crowd.
mm, mm. So talking about you performing back on stage as Chrissy Amphlett, can you give me a bit? Because I have missed this boat and I'm back to jump on. How did you go about this? I mean, what a fantastic story.
Yeah.
How is it told?
Well, it's not a tribute show. We do not I don't imitate her. What would be the point? It's Chrissy Amphlett. Like that, yeah, no one can be her. And I knew that from the very start. I went, it can't be a tribute show. Um, it really was about, well, the backstory of it is before Chrissy passed, a couple of years before she knew she had breast cancer, she's in her post-divinals era, kind of trying to find what the next phase for her as an artist was. Like, who is Chrissy without a band? And someone said to her, a mate was like, "Why don't you put on a one-woman show?" And they were trying to put a show together. Where she really wanted her fans to get to meet her in another way. And in a way, it was about Chrissy dropping the fourth wall in that she'd spent up to that point 16 years being the monster, which was sort of the name of the woman, the schoolgirl, in
Mm-hmm.
that terrifying kind of banshee that fronted divinals. She wanted to be able to drop that, because she felt very much like if people are turning up, that's what they want to see. They want to actually
Yeah.
see the banshee, but she
Mm-hmm.
was ready to drop that and move into a new phase. But then halfway through making that show, she discovered she had breast cancer. With the multiple sclerosis she had, they couldn't treat it. So she let it go and then prepared to just enjoyed the time she had. But that friend she was making it with never let it go. And
Oh.
he has tried in various ways to get that show up in some way. And it eventually landed on my lap. And he was like, is it a musical? Is it this? And I went, no, it's got to be a gig. We have to meet her in her form, the form that she flourished in and
Yeah.
broke kind of boundaries in for women. And we need to put on that one woman show she was trying to put on. So I sort of put together what I think it would have been and could have been, which is her weaving her life story. She was such a great raconteur. Like she was such an amazing storyteller. She was a funny, mad woman, very naughty. So sort of weaving all those flavors. And then rearrange, strip back, and pull apart the songs. So we're really hearing her
Okay.
lyrics. And the fans get to hear the songs done in new ways.
Was there anything from that one woman show she wanted to write in
Nothing
text
was
or?
written down. I just interviewed a bunch of people going, do you remember this? Do you remember that? And tried to pull out memories. And one amazing detail I got, which I just ran with, was she was pretty terrified of dropping that mask and being the real Chrissy Amplet up there.
Yeah.
It's really hard. It took me a long time to learn how to do it as an actor myself. And even then, when I'm on stage as Sheridan Harbridge, it's still a character, it's me a bit more deranged, a bit more drunk, a bit more mean. Um, and but someone said, "Oh, did you know that she tried to do it as a cat?" And I went, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, she had this idea to do the show, but do it as a cat." And I went, "That's the most insane thing." And I couldn't work out what that was. And I went back to the guy who had been helping her make it. It's like, "What's this about her doing it as a cat?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, she was trying to get out of it. She didn't want to be vulnerable up there." And he's like, "So I shut that down. It was ridiculous." And then he said, then she tried to do it as a crow. And I went, and
Wow.
then I just sat with that going, what is this detail? And one night at 3 a.m. went, I know how to do it as a crow. I reckon I could give her that gift because they tried to do it. She couldn't work out how to do it, which I understand. It's insane. Um, and so she let it go, and tried to do it in another way. But one night I just went, I think I know how to do it as a crow. And I think that can be my gift to her, is to let her have her way of how she saw the show, by doing it as a crow. And we used her, Chrissy the Amplet, as a crow, getting to kind of fly over her life, kind of like a mythical
Oh,
storyteller.
wow.
Um, and because there's all these great details about crows, how they hold grudges. And I was like, that's perfect. Because Chrissy, she she could really shiv someone under the ribs. And it's sort of her going through and getting to be a storyteller as a crow and having a bird's eye view over her own life is this great thread we get to run through with the show. I know it sounds insane. It is, and it's really fun.
That sounds fabulous. Oh my gosh, do you get to fly?
I mean, with the power of my words, but maybe in the big
Oh,
budget,
okay.
yeah, in the big budget version, we'll have
Part
hydraulics.
two. Oh, Sheridan, look, I feel like I could talk with you for another hour about everything you're doing, but I should let you go because we've run out of time. Thank you
Oh,
so much. It
thank
has been such a
you.
pleasure. And
Thank
I
you.
will maybe come back when Prima Facie comes back.
Yeah, please. And I'll see you at Amplified April 15 on.
I will do. Indeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sheridan Harbridge, there's so much going on in her life for the stage. My brilliant career on at Sydney Theatre Company at the moment, and Amplify Chrissy Amplet's story on at Belvoir Production, but on at the Seymour Centre.